everyone, welcome to Green Gander 75. I'm Buddy Phillips. Well, we're continuing our restoration project of the 14.5-inch South Bend lathe. We are working on the gearbox. So far, if you've watched the first part of the gearbox restoration, here you've seen the gearbox completely taken apart. That was a real challenge, but we got done. In between that and now, we have stripped all the paint off and repainted it, and now we're ready to go ahead and start putting it back together. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so this shaft here, we're having some difficulty with it along this edge here. Having some problems with it being rough, and what it's doing is it's causing some score lines as it goes into the bearing on the gearbox. So what we're gonna do, I've already knocked off the rough places here, so we're just gonna lightly go over each one of these to make sure it's smooth, so we don't cause any damage when we go to put this back in place. I just got my stone here. Like I was saying, had some really bad spots. Oops, sorry about that. Get back in the camera. Had some really bad spots along in here. And turn it around here. Really bad right in here. But I was able to get it fixed with file and then stoning. Alright, well, the first things we're going to do on the gearbox here is we're going to remove any old felts. Okay, so we're going to run this wire through here. Make sure the oil passageway is completely clear. I think one of the problems I've had with this machine here is that these oil passageways have become clogged over the years, and it contributed to all of the wear that is seen on the machine now. That looks good. Please excuse things falling from the walls. I have new oil covers ordered. Hopefully they will be here within the next day or two. You can order these through McMaster-Carr. Fairly cheap. A lot of these are probably still good, like that one there. However, I want them to be nice and shiny, not painted. Just my personal preference, so I'm going to go ahead and replace them. Now we're going to start putting some felts in. So I got my felts through the same company that I mentioned in the last video with the restoration manual, through Alien Industrial Services LLC. I will include a link down below so you can get in touch with them. This lathe is a 14.5. I got in touch with them and found out that the parts kit for a 16-inch will be a close fit for the 14.5 with some modifications. If you're going to get, if you have a 14.5 and you need the parts kit, contact them and they will help you out. I'm sure they will help you out just like they did with me, getting what you need to make this work. But I did buy the 16-inch lathe kit, and I will have to make some modifications later on to make it work. But they really helped out with making sure that I would have what I need to make those modifications later on. So definitely, these people are really good to deal with, so be sure to contact them. And like anything with this project, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to refer back to the manual, make sure I put in the correct felts. Bit of a challenge to get this in. A little bit of crud I need to remove on this end, backside here. Alright, I'm just simply pressing the felt into place. Then trimming it off flush with the machine face. Just like that. Same thing with this one. I'm just taking the pick, making sure it's clean. After all, don't plan to have this open for years, so I want to make sure everything is clean before I put it back together. I'm not going to get another chance to do it for a very long time, at least that's the plan. It didn't quite line up. Alright, pressing it in place, and then trimming it off. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of these off camera. And then we'll join back when we get to the next step. We're back. Okay, I've got everything all all the felts put into the gearbox here. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put a felt into this gear right here. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the other direction here. I'm noticing as I'm getting used to doing this video how much of a challenge it is to keep my fingers from blocking the shot. It is quite a challenge. Okay. And we're going to lubricate that surface with some type B oil. With some type B oil. Alright, that should do it. Okay, in this shaft there is some passageways for oil to flow. So we're going to make sure those passageways are clear. Okay, that is clear. One thing that is not on this lathe is there should be a screw that goes on the end of that. Both sides. This side's pretty dirty. Looking at the state of those threads, I'll probably have to chase it out with a tap. But I think we're in good shape. Alright everyone, let's get going. I'm going to turn this where you can see it. Pressed on gear. Sorry folks, this is figuring it out as you go. What I'm trying to make sure that this will get oil. Okay. Alright folks, so what I've been working on for a few minutes there was this bearing right here. When I got this lathe, I'm going to zoom you in a little bit tighter here. So when I got this lathe, this bearing was turned and was in this hole right here. So, but what I have learned is because they did that, the hole inside this bearing which allows the oil to go through did not match up. As a result, did not get any oil. So, that means this has probably not had oil on it, which explains the wear and all on it for a very, very long time. So we've gone ahead and corrected that. I verified that it does go through all the way now. I can run this piece of wire all the way up through here. It's all the way through now. The wire goes all the way through. So now we know that this will get oil like it's supposed to. The screws that went with that, I don't have. The original screws. The old screws that came with the machine are not going to fit. What are we going to do? We're going to get the correct screws. Simple as that. Alright, moving on. Oh, look at that, boy, that is nice. That is nice. Wow. It did not come off that way. Alright, so that gear right there has been pressed on. Okay, so the battery cut out on me right as we're getting to the good part on that. But it is together. I ran out of travel length. The two blocks stacked together with the tape wasn't quite enough. So I took the ends of my punches here, my brass punches, placed them in there, and was able to get that to give me enough travel to press that bearing at gave me enough travel to press that gear into place. You know, the book said this was going to be the most difficult part of the entire project. If you ask me, it was probably the easiest. I had no problem whatsoever doing this. I just planned ahead, taped everything that I might need to hold on into place so I wouldn't have to hold it. Once we got it on the press, everything just pressed together beautifully. helpful if you put it on the right direction. Alright, in this gear here, there is a key way that takes a felt. Now, this is nice and clean. This felt is pretty firm. I think I'm going to be able to just push it through. Yes. Don't try that at home, kids. Trained professional here. Right there. And then we trim it off flush. Very good. Alright, we're staked in place. Okay, in the center of this gear here is a small ball detent. There's a little ball. Drop that in. Spring that goes on top of it. Drop that in. And a little screw that goes on top of that. Make sure it'll still move. Might be just a little bit too tight. You don't want to be sliding around all over the place, but I don't think you want it too terribly tight, or you're fighting with feels pretty good. Now we're going to take our punch. We're going to go ahead and stake that. That just simply keeps that from coming out, working its way out. Okay. Well, that is the end of this part of putting this gearbox back together. And the next thing we're going to do is continue on with the next set of gears, and hopefully get this done, and then continue on with our restoration project.